can always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending. All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
Powered by Red Media in partnership with TSN, it is season 7 of the Brain Dregs Hockey Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. The Tim's NHL Hockey Challenge is back in the Tim Hortons app with a chance to win daily and monthly prizes for picking players who you think will score. Plus, there's a chance to win a new Hyundai Tucson as part of our grand prize at the end of the year. Canadians, you can also try and keep a 7-day streak alive and win a free coffee or a free tea for a week. Check all of it out. TimHortons.ca for a full list of prizes. And Ray, for our YouTube viewers, we can see you in the comfy confines of the home office. And here I am in West Palm Beach, Florida for the GM meeting. So
yeah. So what I'm noticing about this, what I'm noticing, you usually guess, the hotel. I mean, particularly in Boston. I'm looking there and I'm thinking that is not an ESPN sanctioned hotel. That is really, really nice.
It's not bad. I wish I could turn the camera the other way, because literally the ocean is like 100 yards from where I'm sitting right now. But I don't want to. We're not bragging here. I'm here working hard, Ray, with the general managers meetings. Yeah. So, are you a mint or a chocolate guy in your hotel room? Like if the chocolates are on the bed when you come back, ready to, they're gone. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So like I eat chocolate dregs by the bucket.
I know you do. So I mean, there's several varieties of these.
Oh, those are good ones. Those are good ones. I
know this
those.
One is, as you can see, it's a dark chocolate and it's calm. So I guess it's supposed to be soothing. It's supposed to calm you down. However, there's also one that is called sleep. So this one's calm. There's a relax, and then there's a sleep version of these chocolates. Okay. I've eaten the sleep chocolate back-to-back nights, and it's like somebody hit me over the head with a Louisville Slugger. Like, I'm not kidding. I don't know what's in this stuff, but I'm sleeping like 8-9 hours.
Is it like a melatonin gummy? Is it like, what are you taking there?
I don't know. I'm looking
read
at
the ingredients.
It just says, this one, Calm, says contains soy, milk, wheat, peanuts, and tree nuts. So it's just warning you. It doesn't tell you what the calming ingredient is. So lavender and black currant. I don't know. I guess that's calming.
Then you know what? I think you should probably pick some up for home.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've never slept this good in a long, long time. So I might just do that. Fair bit going on around the NHL. I mean, obviously there's intensity building on the ice, but off the ice, the GM meetings seldom disappoint in terms of, grabbing some headlines and some things that we can discuss. So let's get to some of that as part of our headlines, brought to you by the Canadian Brewhouse. Hey, get lucky at the Canadian Brewhouse all the way through this stretch. It is St. Patrick's Day, and I think that I got to tell you this story. Compliments, Ray, of the Canadian Brewhouse. So I'm going off script here a little bit, but I met Billy Guerin and a handful of the managers after the meetings yesterday afternoon, and Guerin's number one priority today, Billy Guerin and Tom Fitzgerald, is to find an Irish pub as we record this episode. Yeah, so they're in meetings, so they're going to find an Irish pub and probably have some of that green beer that the Canadian Brewhouse is definitely pouring throughout the course of St. Paddy's Day. Where do you want to start? You want to start George Parros? I don't know. I sent you the clip. I don't know if you had
got to start there, man. It's
okay.
I mean, it's really because you know why, Dregs? Because from the Matthews hit last week, it's now mushroomed around the league. It's not just, and so I think we see it like in each game. If somebody gets thwapped, man, there's a response. It's like this has put everybody on high alert. So my thought is the Matthews hit puts spotlight on player safety because of the suspension. it puts the players on alert about how they have to internally respond, whether they want to or not. And then that puts the league, it kind of full circles its way back, and the league's got to be sharp in case any of these, our favorite word, shenanigans spread. And so it's its own topic, but it's got about 3 arms to it.
All right. Well, let's hear from George Parros, who is the head of the Department of Player Safety, again, meeting the media here in Florida as part of the GM meetings earlier today.
We have a process in place that we feel confident in. We've been doing it for a long time. We sweat over these decisions and pore over these decisions every night, all season long. We have a process in place that's consistent, and we have a team that works for me and together with me that evaluates all these plays. A very experienced team, a veteran team, guys that have been here since the beginning of the department, not to mention all the former players that have a large set of experiences of playing in the NHL games, accolades. Some of the best guys that have played the game work for this department, help make these decisions. So our process, I feel very confident in. We've got great guys who make these decisions, and I think the players should be confident in this team to do so.
Okay, so there's George Parros, and look, he defended the department, and we just heard, he talked about the wealth of experience that they have there. Many of the members of the Department of Player Safety have been there since its inception. But furthermore, he talked about being absolutely open to change and evolving if that's what the NHLPA and the owners of the National Hockey League want, because it's not an oversight here. I mean, it is collectively bargained. The process was agreed to by the players and the owners. So I got all the time in the world for Judd Moldaver defending his client, Auston Matthews, and screaming for change. His suggestion is, why not a third party? Because the National Hockey League has too much power, and the NHLPA is in that awkward place, right? Where they've got to defend Radko Gudas in this process, but they're obviously not happy with Auston Matthews being out for the remainder of the year. So I thought Parros did a good job of meeting the media today in delivering the message and how confident he is that the Department of Player Safety works as it's intended to work, but he's also open to change if that's what his bosses want.
I got so many thoughts on this. Like,
the
one thing, Dregs, that in almost every case, I'm going to say, I would say, I'll say in 70% of the cases, I don't think the player safety department suspends harshly enough. I think there's no deterrent. A suspension, in my mind, should be a deterrent to not do it the next time. And there's still going to be plays like, there is a thought, I believe, amongst fans and some of the media that you could have this perfectly set out linear suspension to suspension. Oh, this was 2 games, so that should be 4 games. And that was 4, and this one should be 1. And it doesn't work like that. It'll never work as cleanly as people want.
No.
But I do not think, for a variety of reasons, that the players that commit the foul get suspended harshly enough. I think there's pressure from both the owners and the managers on one side and from the players on the other. Now, the Maple Leafs want Gudas suspended longer.
Yeah.
The Ducks probably think 5 is plenty or more or too much. Now, if it were reversed, if that were Leo Carlson lying on the ice and pick any Toronto, Jake McCabe, well, then it would be reversed. It wouldn't be enough for Anaheim. It wouldn't be enough for Toronto. The problem with, as I see it, from an independent voice having the say-so to the suspension is the arguments will be, well, this person doesn't know hockey. He doesn't know the intricacies of it. He doesn't understand the culture of it. But if you're a judge in a trial, you're not a car accident judge. You're just the judge. You just sit there and you listen to the information that comes in from both sides, and you make a judgment. We got a rule book that nobody can understand. I think we should probably start there. And condense and modernize the rule book as best you can. Then you set a standard that these are going to be the types of suspensions that are going to be handed out. I believe independence of the owners and the players is probably a good thing. I believe in that. I thought when Shanahan was, the head of the Department of Player Safety, that they were starting to get into a little bit more of an independence, but also suspending a little bit more harshly, and I liked it.
Yeah.
But clearly the league didn't. But here's the thing. Now, like the season or not, Auston Matthews isn't going to play for the rest of the year. How is that good for the game? The last part of this, I'll say, Dregs, I do not like the phrase, you've got to protect the star players. I hate that. I hate that phrase. No, you got to protect the players.
Agreed.
A third line guy deserves the same respect
Agreed.
as Auston Matthews. And I think it gets in the wash of when it is a third line guy, people kind of move past the car accident. When it's Auston Matthews, it's impossible.
All right, our colleague Pierre Lebrun, Ray, with big news to start this Tuesday, reporting that Doug Armstrong is stepping down effectively as the head of the Canadian men's national team, right? Head of Hockey Canada from a competition perspective, the men's program, right? It's interesting because now automatically you don't just look back at the work that Armstrong and his management team and the coaching staff and the players did under his watch and all of that. We want to look ahead and, are you, and Scott Salmon and company with Hockey Canada, I'm sure will have a postmortem with Doug. And in fact, I know they're meeting here in Florida, if not today, then on Wednesday, to probably hash out some ideas on what it looks like moving forward. Because keep in mind, like Armstrong was the general manager for the men's Olympic team, but he was the overseer for the Four Nations. So do you look for somebody with that level of experience, again, to kind of help manage the collective men's program at Hockey Canada? Or do you just appoint a general manager for all international events? And there'll be a long list. But interesting that he would step away. I guess ultimately he feels that, everybody has a shelf life, even when it comes to managing internationally, like Yzerman before him, and go down the list.
Well, I thought I don't know if it was a contract or agreement, went through the 28 World Cup of Hockey. I thought that's what it did. You might know differently, but that's kind of what I thought. So it's not so much about the Olympics; it's about the World Cup. You got to think. So if you're managing the St. Louis Blues and you're managing the Olympic team and you're managing the World Cup of Hockey, plus you're also managing the World Championships, which they're all involved in. I mean, that probably doesn't seem like a big job, but it really is. So it'll be interesting. I would say the structure of it worked pretty well. If somebody shoots a puck in the empty net, one of the 4 times they had it in Milan, then it's a rousing success, right? But do you need international experience to do this? Do you have to? Is it another veteran general manager? Is it a younger guy? Do they transition into maybe a mix of both? An older guy with a younger guy that's eventually going to step into that role. It'll be interesting to see what their process will determine, like who will be at the end of that road. I'm sure there's lots of people that would like to get their hands in there and be involved in it. For I think that's for certain.
Does winning pedigree matter to you in that type of environment? Because I present it that way because one of the guys that comes to mind for me, Ray, is Julian Brisebois in Tampa Bay. And
well, how would you not consider him?
You'd have to.
Yeah, like he's been part of Stanley Cup champion. He's been a manager when they won. The Lightning have been consistently over the last decade one of the league's best teams. He's been part of the management team for all of that. I find it, Julian's probably a really great name to think about. I do think there's a freshness to him, and I think that's a real positive. And yeah, that's a really great name. I was, as we were talking about Doug, I was kind of kicking names around in my head, and his name, I hadn't quite gotten to Tampa yet. I kind of go through it from west to east. I was going through the teams, and I got to his name, or I hadn't gotten to his name yet. That's a good one.
Well, and if you're taking the same sort of approach here, and you want an overseer type of guy, I mean, again, there are a number of names. I'm not disrespecting anybody, but I don't recall, like, Joe Sakic hasn't really been involved internationally from a high level management position, right? I mean, again, there's another name historically that would probably get some attention.
Okay, but here's something, Dregs, is that they've got to want to do it. Like, maybe there's a reason his name hasn't been in there before, and it's because he doesn't want to put the time into it. The
big job.
Maybe he does. It's like maybe he just doesn't want it, and so there'll be lots of names that get kicked around. I found it interesting that Army put out Sidney Crosby's name as one day he hopes he manages Canada, and I was like. And I thought, oh boy, that's interesting. That was like, man, the guy might be playing in the 28. The guy might be playing in the 28 World Cup. He's busy. And but wouldn't it? You bring up Joe, and wouldn't it be awesome if at the top of the heap there are some of these great names, that great players.
So good.
Now, I mean, again, they've got to want to do it, and but I don't know. It's almost like when Gretzky was. At the head of the Olympics, and you could just see how much it meant, and how it means so much to all these guys. I mean, any country that when you get to manage your country, like for your hockey department, man, it's amazing. It'd be great. And it was cool when Gretz was doing it, and Joe Sakic would be awesome if he's involved. And one day I'm certain Sid will be involved. Like, how would he not be? Right?
For sure.
Like, how would he not be? And geez, could you imagine the list of superstitions that box would have, where they sit? They all got to sit in the right place. If you notice in any of those management boxes, when they start to win, nobody moves. Like, they all sit in the same. So if you happen to sit in a lousy seat when you start winning, then you're stuck there. But Sid's got a few, so that would be interesting.
Yeah. On that international theme again, the National Hockey League and the Players Association delivered some news to start the week on Monday. We knew it was coming, inevitably, the announcement of the World Cup of Hockey, and the North American site locations. Edmonton and Calgary will host in North America. Prague will handle the European side. You know what? Credit to Alberta, and I mean the province of Alberta, because when you're running big business, and that's what it is, money talks, right? So the province kicks in $15 million. Then you add rights fees on top of that, everything that goes into the watch parties and the fan festivals in Edmonton and in Calgary. All of that, could climb to upwards of $30 million, right, for the NHL and the NHL Players Association. So with all due respect to Boston, Montreal, Vegas. I mean, who wouldn't want to go to Vegas?
Were you surprised at all, Dregs, there was not a U.S. city involved?
Yeah, a little bit. But Marty Walsh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're on.
Yeah, Marty Walsh, the head of the Players Association, referenced it, in the hallway afterwards, and he said they had considerable discussion on that, right? But I think they just felt like having the dual cities in Alberta is a one-off. It's unique, right? And the money was a major factor. But moving forward, I mean, there's going to be a heavy U.S. involvement, in the follow-up World Cup of hockey. But, is this something that you're going to get excited about? Or do we just, I think coming out of the Olympics, it seems natural that we'd get excited. But I think of assuming he's still there. McDavid, captaining Canada potentially, in the gold medal game, Canada against the Americans in Edmonton. Sure. I mean, imagine, it doesn't get much better than that.
I would say there's an event that's gaining steam year after year, and it's a consistency of the event that makes it bigger than we might notice in North America, and that's the World Baseball Classic. And so year over year, the viewership for this tournament has increased pretty significantly. And so the excitement for the World Cup, to put it on a regular hockey calendar, I think becomes something that is really pretty dramatic for hockey people to be involved and to look forward to. So you're not looking forward. I mean, the 4-year gap to the Olympics certainly builds anticipation, but I really like this. I like it because it can move around. It's not going to be anchored into one place. I'm assuming the tournament will deliver, because these always do, right? The players love it. The one thing they'll have to work around again, Dregs, is so there's 8 teams, so however many NHL players there are in it, is how do they massage the rest of the calendar year to fit that in? Because it's a really difficult, it's a tight calendar, especially, we're at 84 games next year. Eventually the All-Star game's going to go away. It's going to have to. There's going to be no room for it. The scheduling conflicts, the wear and tear on the guy's body, like all that stuff has to be eventually considered. Right now it's exciting, but in 2 or 3 cycles, we'll see.
Yeah, and look, I mean, again, it's about building the sport and creating hockey-related revenue and all of that. But your point is well made. It's a 17-day break in the schedule. And 17 days is a long time when you're trying to make up those dates and get your scheduling matrix in place. I mean, and on top of that, and we saw it this year, obviously, with the Olympics, the wear and tear on these players is significant. So it's risk versus reward. And for the moment, everybody's on side. That's where they're at.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was on a plane with Ken Holland when he found out that Kevin Fiala was done for the year. And it was like the blood drained out of his face. He's like, "Are you kidding me? We just traded for Panarin, and now we don't, so there's that." Like, do you think, even though they finally lost last night, do you think Dallas would have preferred to have Mikko Rantanen in their lineup? Like, these are, it's not like you're losing a 4th line guy and you're like, oh, we could call up a young kid, maybe he could fill in. There's significant losses that have to be considered. And I guess the difference is the NHL and the teams, and by extension, the players, they control this event. They control where the revenues go. They control the media rights. It's far different. It's a completely different project than the Olympics.
All right, fun one on the hockey operations agenda. I find it amusing. I don't know if you will, so I'll run it by you and you tell me if you think this one's going to be, as Noodles would say, a spicy meatball for NHL players. Mandatory neck guards will be in place next year in the NHL. I mean, that's agreed upon. That's agreed upon. It's in the collective bargaining agreement. Now, again, we just saw it, mandatory neck guards worn at the Olympics. So, the best of the best aren't foreign to the concept, right? And some of them will go, okay, what's the big deal? As part of the GM meetings here in Florida, they're talking about the implementation of these neck guards and the policing of the use of the neck guard. Now, one of the okay, hold on. One of the execs involved in the discussion said to me, they've already approved 40 different types, 40 types of neck guards, which is a lot. So the players are going to have a variety to choose from. Can you imagine getting that penalty in a playoff game?
Drags, I'll tell you, as soon as I heard about how they're going to police it. Now, a lot of people listening won't quite remember, but Leo Komarov was one of the game's most interesting characters when he was in Toronto. And they put in the mandatory visor, and it had to cover your eyes. Well, Komarov used to push his visor up, and it would cover the top of his helmet. Like it was useless. And so I was doing a game. It was an exhibition game in Toronto, and they told him to put it down. So he pulled it down. He went out for a face-off, and he bumped it back up. And like now the play's on, and then he came back and he kind of pushed it back down on the bench, and I guess in case anybody looked. But while the game was on, he pushed it up. He hated it. So like, who's running around and policing this stuff? The net guard things. There has to be a standard width. There has, like, if they've produced 40 of them though, I don't know. Are they going to be like the goalies? They're going to have, like, Kay Whitmer goes around and puts a little stamp on all the goalies' pads that they've all been approved. That comes from the league. Like, are they going to have to do that for the net guards too?
I think they've done it already. Yeah. I think.
No, but the guys are going to doctor the stuff.
For sure, they will.
So I don't have to wear it. So, but I would have worn it. I don't care. Like it's not going to be that odd. Although I assume the first few times you throw that on, it's going to be a little uncomfortable. I would think the way I would want to do it is have the neck guard incorporated into my undershirt. So you just put on one piece and that's it. I don't think I'd want to strap something around like you see the little guys do in minor hockey. I don't think I'd want to do that.
No. All right, let's wrap up the Canadian Brewhouse headlines with this will be dated because the Islanders are taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight, being Tuesday. Players have to dig into their wallets all the time. You did as a player, buying tickets, right? You've got friends and you've got family that want to come to whatever game it was. I'm sure you spent thousands of dollars on that stuff. I think I read somewhere Matthew Schaefer, right, has 1,000 people going to that game in Toronto. I've never heard of that before. Have you? 1,000 people?
Not that number. I mean, that's crazy. I assume he'll have a box or two that they'll purchase or have purchased.
Yeah.
So you can so that takes care of, I don't know, 50, 100. I think this is, but don't you think this is like a wedding? I'm glad you guys are all coming. However, you don't quite make the list of the free tickets.
No.
Come and watch. And boy, what an event for him though, right? Like,
so cool.
I mean, that he has consistently knocked everything out of the park this year. The way he plays, the way he conducts himself, the joy that he plays with, the scrutiny that he's more and more becoming under, he seems to handle all of it just perfectly. He's a really, really easy guy to cheer for. And do this at his age with his story behind him, he's one of the great things in the game today. He really is. He is, I think one of the reasons I like watching him play so much is the same reason I like watching Celebrini play. And there is this youthful joy to what they do. Like, to me, it just draws me. And man, I love watching these guys play.
Yeah. Do you see him leveling off at any point? I mean, he's been on a meteoric rise this season. And I think most expected, okay, well, young guy, he still hasn't necessarily filled in, even though he's strong. We can appreciate that. But how does a game like that level off, if at all? Or is it just the hockey IQ, his skating ability, all of that that's just going to keep him at that level or, develop into a superstar?
Oh, I think he's a superstar. I do.
Yeah.
But if you look at, like, Cale Makar's games that leveled off, he gets around 90 points a year. I mean, that's where the level is, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't see why. I do believe Schaefer will get better. He'll make different decisions with the puck. I don't know, he'll work his way around the ice a little bit differently, but he has such wonderful tools at his disposal, right? His vision, his hands, his edges, his skating speed. It's like it's all sitting there for him. I don't see any reason that we're not talking about the very best in the game in Makar and Hughes and Werenski and Schaefer. I just like, why would he not be in that group? I mean, he's 18 years old. It's just, it's unbelievable what he's doing. We're already talking, like, if I had to vote on the MVP this year, and I'm just going to check so I don't misspeak, but I do believe San Jose is in a playoff spot right now. If they make the playoffs, I would vote for Celebrini to be the MVP. Like, how couldn't you? And or I guess you could vote for McDavid or Kucherov, and these would be good choices too. But I don't think we can look at these players and go, oh, they're just young. Their time will come. Their time is here. It's here. It's different than it was even 5 or 10 years ago. These guys are ready to be stars.
All right. Those are your headlines. Thank you to the Canadian Brewhouse.
It feels like Tim Hortons has always been part of my routine, certainly as a dad, as a coach, or taking my kids to the early morning hockeys. Had to go through the drive-through and get my cup of coffee and get the Timbits for the kids. Can I get a medium coffee with milk, please? Then even driving into studio now at TSN. If I don't go through the drive-through, get my medium coffee with milk, I feel like my routine has been interrupted.
Here's your coffee.
Thank you.
Right there, guys.
You too. Only way to start a day.
We've got Ask Ray and Driggs. Anything lining up for Thursday, we'll bring Ryan Rashog in at that point. So if you have any questions or ideas, thoughts, you can DM us on X or visit rayanddriggs.com to submit your question. And one of the favorite parts of the podcast is our bi-weekly visiting of Tim's Hockey Challenge, right? And again, let's bring in Chris Zabunyo, who can join us, and he can help us walk through some of the numbers that have been collected.
I think we should.
Submitted late last week.
We should. We should.
Yeah,
collect.
I got the snowflake, Zuby. I got the snowflake last week, and that's never a good icon to look at when you're in this challenge.
Freezing cold, Driggs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, this is like a playoff race now. It's getting so tight. It's getting very exciting to watch. So Dreg Snowflake left him at 35, correct, out of 102. Ray got 1. So Ray ticked up 1 here. He's at 31, only 4 back. Oh my goodness, this is getting close.
Yeah.
I think Zuby, I think I got a game in hand too, I think.
Is that right? Yeah, that could be.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, we'll have to go back through the whole year and determine
Yes,
that.
thank you. Would you? Yes, please.
Yeah. I'll do that instead of cutting promos today.
Yes, right. That'd be great.
Yeah. I think Schauger actually got 1 as well. So we're not too worried about him taking over first place, but he did tick up a little bit here, up to 20. I've got 117 correct on the, but I'm down, man. I was getting close to 30%, but I've had a couple of off days here, back down to 28. Darn, I was in that 29. Today, fellas, I don't know if you've looked today. This is a tough one today. Holy cow.
It's a tough one.
Tim's is pushing us to dig deep on those second and third buckets. When I see Macklin Celebrini in the second bucket, I do a little cartwheel. That makes for an easy day, and that still happens from time to time, but not today.
No, that. Dregs, I know you're a pretty tough customer, but you hear the footsteps. I know you do.
I do. Yeah.
So you better shape up down there.
Well, I don't want to put Zuby on the spot, but I do think, like, at what point did I think I had like a 7 or an 8 point lead at one point, did I not?
Yeah.
I think so. You know what I do?
It was 7 for sure. 7 for sure.
Yeah.
And it's dwindling. Your goaltending's letting you down. I can see that right now.
Yeah. I have to invest more time in it, right? Like today was a classic
Why?
example as I know. This morning I'm looking at it. I'm like, you know what? I feel bad for Trent Frederick. I feel bad for him. I wanted him to have a good, healthy year. I liked him
Yeah.
in Boston. He's a good kid. I just instantly, he's in the 3-hole, Trent Frederick. So I need a little bit of good karma, a little bit of good mojo to get me back going. This is my Jordan Spence. That's what this is.
Oh,
Spence
you know what?
moment.
I went with Kasperi Kapanen, and he hit the crossbar the other night.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's got one today. That's a third bucket choice, Dregs. I gave you a little gift right there.
On
right,
January, I was able to just check it. On January 29, Dregs, the lead was 8. And it's down to 4. And you know what? I can't, because I said I can't not go with Drew O'Connor now in that third bucket. He was the very last name on the third bucket. I saw him. I said, if I don't take him when I said the Drew O'Connor paradox or whatever it is, if he's there, you got to take him. So I'll go
Take
with
him
tonight.
All right. Well, we'll check back on Thursday. Thanks, Zuby.
Thanks, Zuby.
Yeah, my confidence is wavering in the Tim's Hockey Challenge, Ray. I'm not going to lie. But I'm going to gut it out. Not that many games left. Not that many
grind
games
it out.
left. So
grind it out.
I'm going to
a few weeks, man. Just a few weeks.
Yeah, I know. What's your week like? You got some games to look after?
I do have. I got two home games.
Nice.
I always find this weird though. So my game, Florida's in Vancouver, and then Tampa's in Vancouver. What are they doing out here in March? Like they should be in their own conference playing their. That's what I think with the schedule. Neither of those teams are going to be thrilled with the week of weather they're getting out here.
No.
We are getting. It is a monsoon out here.
Ooh.
I woke up this morning. Do you have a generator at home?
Do not. No.
Do not? Okay, so we have one, and about 4 or 5 times a year, we're really happy we do. And I came down to get ready to do the pod, and I'm like, man, the water cooler thing we have is really loud today. And why would it be loud? It's there every day. And so it took me a few seconds to realize the generator's on out in the back. And so I was like, I thought it was a water cooler. God, I'm useless. And so anyways, so I'm looking around, and no lights out on the street or across the street. So we're no power today. So we'll got a couple of games, and Panthers are limping to the finish, and they're what a year they've had. They're uncle for them. It's just finish it off and get healthy over the summer. And they do, however, they want to make sure that they don't fall into the bottom 10, because if they do, they lose their draft pick to Chicago for the Seth Jones trade.
Correct.
So they would, this year would be a good year for them to have that pick.
And they're going to have to figure out the Bobrovsky contract, right? I think most of us believe he's 38. They'll find commonplace. He'll stay in Florida. It's not an easy negotiation. It's not. Paul Theophanos is the agent, and he can get gritty when he needs to get gritty.
Wow, Paul had to come up for air twice this year.
I know,
because usually he does it pretty quietly, right?
He does. You're right. You're talking about Panarin and now Bobrovsky.
Yes, yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll reconnect on Thursday. They dismissed any sort of scheduling talk here at the GM meetings as part of the GM exec committee on Sunday, but I'm hoping that they'll follow up on it today or tomorrow, and then because I know that's a hot spot for you, so we'll probably talk about part of that.
We'll get some Thursday. We'll get it Thursday. Have a good week, everybody. We'll talk to you then, and thanks for listening. Enjoy the sun, Grace.
I'll try my best. Cloudy right now, but it's still beautiful. Thank you to our sponsors who make the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast possible. Our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. Thank you. And thank you to the Canadian Brewhouse. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.